So, greetings, world, and greetings, Seven Spot. It's that time again, and it's a treat because we're going down under, but we're not going to the land of Oz. We're going to the land of Kiwis. We're going to New Zealand today, and we have a special treat. We've got an owner member, Greg Hill, who's got a Lotus he wants to show us. And you know what? I believe that this Lotus could be yours one day if that's what you're interested in. And I am going to also introduce our roving reporter who's going to be hosting some of our shows for us. And his name is Brian James in New Zealand as well. So first off, I'm going to bring in Greg into the picture, and I'm going to take myself out. Greg, how are you today?
Hi, good, thank you. Good.
That's great. Now, you've got something special there, and they're both in one of my favorite colors. You know, if you were a bike engine guy like I am, you would say that's a Kawa green, but what do you call it?
It's the racing team used to call it puke green.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. It's actually 1980 Lamborghini Miura color.
Wonderful. That's great. Yeah. Well, before we get on with it, I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this with us. And
thank you, Jim.
Oh, this is a great pleasure for me because you've got one of my favorite cars. I just love what the New Zealand clubmen and Lotus guys do with their sevens, and in particular the wings. The clamshells you've got are outstanding. Can before we get started, show me your clamshells?
These are the biggest clamshells you'll find on the 7. Probably they're custom made for the car.
No kidding. Those are truly outstanding. Yeah. So I'm gonna do the best thing. I am going to do what I'm supposed to do and what I do best, and that is to turn the show over to you. And I'd love it very much if you could, it's all about the cars, but can you tell us a little bit about your own story and how you got involved with this?
Sure. Always had all sorts of cars over the years, and just most recently had a F85 Oldsmobile Cutlass Coupe, a 61, and had trouble driving it around just places to go, and sold my business and had no parking for it, so I decided to get into racing, which has been in the family for a long time, and was chasing up a little MGB on Craigslist, and just there was mention on one of the forums about one of the drivers in the team, and I emailed him about the car, and he said a guy who owned it was long dead and gone, and he just forwarded the email to Frank, who owned these two cars. And Frank got back to me and said, "Hey, would you like to buy my cars? A Lotus and a Healy." I quick think about it and said yes. So
it was a twofer. You bought both of them.
Yeah.
And they're both in Lambo puke green?
They are, yep. They're both right-hand drive. And they were owned both by a guy called Mike Lewis from the late 70s, early 70s. And apparently the guys used to swap cars and backwards and forwards them. So the Healy went off to a guy, Bob Milstein, who was quite a well-known racer over there. He had the Hagen Jaguar for a while, and used to race National Series in the Sprite. And then Frank, who owned the Lotus, bought it back again, I think in the mid-80s. And and they've been sitting in a garage in Vermont since for the Lotus since 1973. The Lotus last ran, I think, a couple of times in the 80s, and the Sprite the same. Just been sitting in storage. So nice dry storage in Vermont.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And you have been. May I ask, how have you been using the cars? I know that you mentioned you're kind of new to racing. Have you been taking them out on the track?
Neither have been started yet.
Wow.
I've had them about a year and a half, and just been busy with other things. I could only keep one, and I started on the Healy to get that all done to sell that one. But over the time I've been working on the Healy, I think I've grown to like it, and the Lotus will be the one that will need a new home.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
The Healy's just about ready to start. I've had the engine rebuilt by a Kiwi icon of motor racing who builds and races cars here, Angus Fogg. So should be a good little rocket ship, the Healy.
Wow, that's just awesome. I'm bringing in Brian right now. Brian, Greg is in the Auckland area, and I don't know if that's very close to you, but he's mentioned to me that that's where he is. Where are you located?
Well, I'm actually in Auckland as well. I don't know if can you hear me okay?
Hear you just fine.
Just fine,
okay,
Brian.
Cool. Yeah, how's it going, buddy? I'm up in Massey. I don't know, whereabouts in Auckland are you?
Just right by the Harbour Bridge. Yeah.
Oh, rightio. So you're not too far away from me.
He's over in Northcote area.
Yeah.
It's amazing how strong the 7 following is down here. Like everywhere you go, you'll find them.
Yeah.
And they're such a swift knife of automobiles. You can use them for anything from touring to racing, obviously. I've been following your particular 7 since it came into the country, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in some props here, if you don't mind me saying. I mean, I have been long in awe of what's going on as far as 7s are concerned in New Zealand. Such a small country and so many participants. It's just amazing. It truly is.
I guess we had the Steele Brothers thing as well, which was sort of the swan song for them. So we've got a real strong tie to them there.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really cool.
Weren't the Steele Brothers one of the first to be able to produce the Lotus 7 outside of Lotus? And I think from memory, either Caterham got the contract or the Steele Brothers did first.
Yeah, I think they had it.
And they were producing, I believe, Series 3 Lotus 7s.
Yeah, one of my flatmates had a twin cam one, which was one of my first times in one of those, which was great fun.
Well, that's great. Now, I know that this one's not in the shed, but you've got something just hiding out of the shed. Would you mind turning your phone around just to give us a quick peek at that?
Sure. This is, let's get the sun out of the way. Yeah. So
that's a lovely, I don't know if how do you refer to them, a bug eye or a frog eye? It's
frog eyes if you're British, I guess, and bug eye if you're from
an
the
American.
US. Yeah. Little Healy Sprite. That's a Mark 158.
I just love them.
Quite an early one.
Yeah.
This one is a real little rocket ship. It did Bob Milstein. One of his finest moments was a minute 4 round Lime Rock in this.
Wow.
Which is faster than a 289 Cobra. So.
Well, that's interesting because I noted on the Lotus that you have SCCA badge on it, and I was wondering what sort of affiliation that had in New Zealand. You're looking good, Greg. No worries. Oh, he's fading out. Greg, I'm going to ask you to go back into the garage. Get closer. Hey, there we go. You're back in. That's better. Can you hear us, Greg? Looks like he's he's stepping into the garage. Well, Brian, while Greg is getting all tuned back up, I know that you're working on yet another project, another Chevron project of your own. Can you just fill us in quickly as to what's happening with you?
Okay, so as you can see in the background, you'll see the frame. Recently, I sold my Lucky Strike Chevron. That was the V6 3.8 litre powered Chevron that I had. And part of the deal was I got a red chevron. So it's a later model one with a different suspension setup and running a 4AGE, which sort of suits my what I need to do a little bit better. So currently I'm tearing the whole thing apart, getting ready to powder coat the frame. So it looks like we've got Greg back again. So
yeah, no worries. I'm going to bring Greg in, and we're going to get back to you in just a sec. But this is Greg's show, and we just lost the feed for a moment. It's the wonders, guys, of live streams. You know, Brian, you're going to find this out when you're doing your live streams. It's an adventure. Things will pop in and pop out, and you'll have to learn to be a little bit quick on your feet. But it'll all work.
Yeah, well, like I said, my computer's not up and running because it's rebooting, so I'm having to go to cell phone. So here we go.
Absolutely no worries. So, Greg, I'm going to bring you in, and I'm going to take me in out of the picture like that. But getting back to the story, yours are branded SCCA, so that's an American thing. How did they end up in New Zealand?
Just really was looking for a little vintage race car, just something to have a bit of fun in.
So you brought them over?
Yeah.
Wow.
40-foot container from Vermont.
No kidding.
So quite a bit of parts. There's a 40-year collection of parts as well. So it
wow.
Mostly for the Sprite, had sort of probably 3,000 pound of parts, race engines, and goodness knows what. Wow,
so, that's in itself is amazing. I mean, I know that we interviewed a gentleman from Singapore who brought a S3 Lotus from England over, and it's surprisingly inexpensive. I was shocked. I was really shocked.
Yeah, but you wouldn't. Yeah, no, they're just container freight. So they were. It was out of New York, so it took quite a while to get here, but. Time to plan and decide, source. Well, the worst part is sourcing parts you think you need, and when the car arrives, it's got 5 of everything. So
yeah. So this situation with your car is, your cars. You're going to be keeping the Sprite then, and then you'll be moving the Lotus on. Yeah,
my first car was an MG Midget, so when the cars arrived, and working on the Sprite in that time, I've got an affinity for that. So I think that's the one for me.
I've got a soft spot for MGs as well, I sold on my MGA, and I hate myself for having done that. 35 years ago, and I just must get another one back in my shed.
Yeah. The guy I sold my MG to, I was 16 years old. I called him about 25 years ago. He still got it. And the first thing he said to me was, I still haven't found a front bumper. I've got one now, though. I got one off the Sprite, but I don't think he's got the car anymore.
Okay. Well, while you've got your Lotus there, and as I understand it, it's going up for sale. Can you detail, what what the prospective buyer might be looking at? You've got those fabulous clams, of course.
Yeah.
But what kind of rubber and what kind of engine and what have you got?
Okay, so it's a really early Series 2.
Yes.
It went to the US in 61.
Mm-hmm.
Not much known about it before 1972. I know Mike Lewis owned it.
Yes.
He was the one who owned the Sprite, and Frank bought it off him. I've got all the early Polaroid pictures of the frame. It had already lived a life before Frank got hold of it. So they stripped it completely and built it into a race car in, I think, 1973. The logbook shows the first race in 1974. It was an FP class, which means it goes on CC and all the different cars it can race with.
Yes.
The Bug Eyes are an HP, which is a lesser class and a slower car. So by 1980, they were both National Series car. The Lotus won the North Atlantic Road Racing Championships in 1980. It was
nice.
a pretty competitive car. and I've got race sheets right back to then of all the results and times. A lot of drivers that he's driven with are well known. So it was a pretty competitive little car in its day. Frank said he used to pass all the Shelbys when it was mixed class races, around on the corners, inside, outside, wouldn't matter. On the straights, obviously a bit lacking, but as Lotus's handling just on the corners.
Yeah.
He did tell me the lift figures they'd done on the chassis, so it wouldn't lift on the corners, just a snake.
Yeah, just slide on through.
Yeah. So
I'm going to interrupt for just a sec. As far as you understand it, in New Zealand, how would can this car is not road where you can never put it on the road as it is right now, but as far as taking it to the track,
absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And in terms of fitting into race criteria there, is there any limitations or where would it fit in?
There's a ton of classic racing, so it can race with all sorts of things. So, plenty of people to play with.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask it. Let's get right down to it. You've got the car, or we'll have the car up for sale. Will you mind sharing with me, maybe perhaps through text or something, how we can contact you or your agent so that people can find it?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Yep.
That's great.
So just to give you a rundown on the mechanicals.
Yep.
It's a Lotus 7 America, which were exported with a 948 BMC Sprite engine. So this is a little engine there. It's 95% ready to go. The car came with all the engine and gearbox out, so it's all been put back in. Just needs just minor bits, nothing serious, but it's all ready to roll. It's 12-to-1 compression.
Yep.
It's good for, Frank told me, 114 miles an hour. And
nice.
Just an absolute ton of torque as the 948s do. It's got all what they call red cranks, which are competition cranks in it, flat top pistons, beautifully machined little rods. And the ad, I've got some pictures of the rods from the other engine, which are just beautifully machined.
Yes.
So both this and the Sprite were built by, as were all the other cars in the team, by a guy called Ron Catalano, which is why it's got RMC Racing on the back of them. There's actually a spoiler down there for the front of the Lotus with RMC Racing on it. Yep. So Ron had a, as far as I can tell, it's sort of like the dark ages for information, but Ron had a 1500 cc Lotus that he used to race. It was a Ford engine one, as best as I can tell. So he did all the development work on that. And then this car came along quite quickly with the development on the other car. So this is really as it sat in probably 1974, 75, as it sits today. Everything that could be done to it for handling's been done. It's got fully adjustable suspension back and front. All the bolts in the front are titanium. Even things, I don't know if you can see this, but the paint's got little sparkles in it.
Okay, I can't quite making that out, but yeah.
Yeah, it's got little glitter sparkles to break up the air tension going over it to get you, half combat. So Frank was really, passionate about it. So every single thing he could do to make this car run, he's done. It's got Piranha ignition. It's got rev limiters, anti-sump down there for oil if you needed it in the corners. A lot of the original stuff from the early days, I've still got all the original front and rear guards, speedo there. I'm pretty sure it's that's a 120 mile an hour Smith speedo. Got the original nose cone. You can still see where all the upholstery was, the rivet holes for the upholstery. And nicely, it's even got the original, can't see, but it's got the original tank in there, which a lot of them are no longer. And it's just been mothballed beautifully. There's no rust in the chassis. It's as solid as. And the full cage does unbolt. But it's all obviously body stiffening as well. So it's just a really, you look at, I've had lots of cars over the years, and you just look at a car and go, hey, that's a good car. I mean, it's not. yeah, it's just a good car. It's not pretending to be anything it isn't. It's just a
Yeah.
good, honest racer. It's got scratches and dust and yeah. But,
that's what we say about race cars. You know, they're wonderful when they're all painted up and in the paddock, but to get close, they do look a little scruffy from time to time.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's lived a life. It's lived a good life. It's never had the logbook is clean.
Yep.
Yep. I'll just walk you in here. It's a little bit darker in here, so yeah, this is just some of the engines. This is the just the spare engine for it. This one's actually dry decked.
Yeah.
It's got all the water valleys are all blocked off, so that just runs a closed system. I don't know if you can see all this here, but yeah, just pictures of the frame before it was built and old race records.
Yeah.
Back in the day with a spoiler.
Wow.
Yeah. I've even got a custom-made race suit that Frank had, which is leprechaun green.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, that is totally awesome. I'm going to say thank you from all of us that's here at Seven Spot. I mean, it's a pleasure for me. And just like I said before we went online, these little cars have a way of helping us to tell our stories. And I'm just in awe of everyone who contributes to my or our little group. And God, just thank you. It's just great. Fabulous stuff. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. And please, I'm going to ask you quickly, if you wouldn't mind just giving us audibly who to contact or how to contact you. And then if you'll send me the link, I'll put the link on the stream after we're done, and so that people can reach you about the car. But how, please just tell us how they're going to go about reaching you. Are they going to go through your agent, or are you going to
just me. Just direct message me on Messenger from my link on the Seven Spot page. Yeah.
All right.
Fine.
Absolutely. And I will attach your Facebook page to it, and then people will be able to reach you directly. Is that all right?
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm happy to help with shipping worldwide. It's I did get a quote to England. I think it was about $6,000 or $7,000 New Zealand, so like $4 US or something. So it's not prohibitive. It's just actually time more than anything. Shipping being what it is. So if you're patient, your toys will arrive.
All right. Well, Greg, I'm going to say thank you again, and I'm going to bring Brian back into the picture right now, and I'm going to ask him what he's got going on in his shop. Is that all right with you, Greg?
Yeah, sure. Great. Thank you, Jim.
All right.
It's been nice to meet you all and talk to you. Great.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? We may drag you in here for a closer look of the Sprite one day. So
yeah, you're more than welcome. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Bye. Yeah.
Just quickly, Greg.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, do you have the 7 on Trade Me?
I do. Yeah.
So there's a lot more photos for it for people to look up if they go to Trade Me and look you up.
There is. Yeah. Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay, so competition. That could be another way of gaining a bit more interest.
Yeah. It's listed under competition cars. Yeah.
Trade Me. Well, that's awesome.
I might actually have to go and have a closer look at it myself, because it looks an amazing car.
And it looks like you guys are going to be lifted out of lockdown soon, so you'll be able to go and drive around. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
More than welcome to come and have a look, Brian. Yeah.
Brian, I'm going to ask.
Hopefully, once we come out of lockdown, I will be bringing my my black Chevron back up from Hamilton, where it's getting its upholstery done. So you may be getting a visit.
Yeah, great.
Fabulous. Brian, can I ask a favor of you? Could you rotate your camera, your phone, just so we get the full screen? Just turn it, rotate it.
Who, for me?
Yeah, please. There we go.
Nope.
Not going.
Doesn't work.
Okay, then don't.
Upside down. Hey, land down under.
All right. That's fine. We'll deal with it that way. Anyway, show us what you've got going on with your brand new Chevron. You are passionate about chevrons. I have never seen anything like this, and it's just amazing.
What we'll do is take you for a walk around what I'm actually doing at the moment. So There we go. This is the car that I got in part trade for my Lucky Strikes chevron, which I mentioned before. So other than the fact that it had been left out in the Auckland weather, now we are a coastal city. So as you can see, surface rust is getting a hold. Now it is quite thick wall tube, so that's not very a problem. It's just a little bit of surface rust. So the idea is to strip the whole car, and I'll keep on taking you for a walk around. And we're going to freshen everything up. So that means taking it right back to its bare frame, and then powder, because work's just installed a powder coating oven. Yeah. I'm going to go mad on powder coating, and we're just going to powder coat everything.
Fabulous.
Around here. As you can see, we've got bits and pieces, all the back end. So there we go.
You're doing good, Brian.
The back end is a little bit unusual for a chevron. It's an independent rear end from a S14 Nissan Silvia.
Okay.
Unusual to have an independent rear end in these cars. Usually they're a solid axle. So that just creates more of a hassle in the sense that I've got to blow the whole thing apart to be able to powder coat it. Some parts I can't really powder coat, so I'm going to have to sandblast them, and we're going to use like a product like POR 15 in coating it, which is a chassis coat, and it goes off incredibly hard. But yeah, other than that, that's what I'm doing at the moment, is just concentrating on the little red chevron, taking it right down to its base frame so I can get it all powder coated.
Okay, well, that's absolutely fabulous. And I as I said, I don't know anybody who's as passionate as you are about chevrons. We thank you. And along that line, I think you and I have been collaborating a bit on a bit of a project, and I hope to pull it off because, you know, we and the rest of the world don't know an awful lot about chevrons at all. And, you know, as I've chatted to you, I think that it's a wonderful story, and I think that more has to be made of it. I've reached out to the owners of Chevron to see if they would be willing to participate, and I'm hoping that they will, because Brian and I are going to work on a project so that we can work on the history of it and tell a bit about their personal journey, and also the other products that they have brought to the world. So congratulations, Brian. I'm looking forward to doing a real good job on that with you.
I actually do know Evan and Barbara personally, and they're a great couple. So the history of the chevron is actually really interesting, how and why they started and the innovations that they brought. So yeah, I'm actually looking really forward to doing that and getting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, you know, we've been going for now half an hour. I'm going to bring Greg back in because he's the star. What can we say? Hi, hey. Greg. Greg, I'm just looking forward to following you and your exploits with your bug.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
And looking forward to seeing this lovely Lotus moved on to a new caretaker, if you will, who will love it and give it the care it needs. So with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you once again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all at 7 Spot. But in the meantime, it's morning for both of us. You know, I've had my breakfast, and now you guys can have your breakfast. The only difference is I've already had mine, and it's yesterday.
Yesterday.
21 hours ahead. Guys, have a great day, and cheers.
Too,
all right, cheers for now. Bye now.
Catch you later.
All right, cheers.